For those of you that haven't met me before, just quickly again, I'm a project manager at Nordic Circular Hotspot. I've been working here for 5 years, and I'm the project manager for the Circular Summit this year. So please contact me if you have any questions, and I will inform you as much as possible in the coming weeks and months going in for the Nordic Circular Summit. What I can say is that we work day and night at the moment to get things together. I'm just trying to hide this video so I can see what I'm seeing on the screen. Quickly on the agenda. We always announce new partners. So that's a quick one. And then we will have some circular news and updates, what's been happening since the last meeting. We have a theme of the month, so we're really happy to have Laura with us today to present that part. And then we have some updates on what's coming up from us, and we have some time for questions and open discussion in the end as well. We're always open for feedback also, so if you have any feedback on the meetings in general, please send us, and we try to keep topics that are as relevant as possible. So today it's about standardization, which is really important. Sorry, I will just let in my colleague here. Yes. So since last time, we have had a company called Loopaloop join us. I don't think we have anybody from that organization being here today, but we will work to get them to present themselves in one of the coming meetings. Sorry, I have this upcoming problem there. Yes. I have some technical issues here today. I'm very sorry. Some circular news and updates on events from last time. We've had Almedalsveckan in Sweden, which was the 25th to the 28th of June. And then since the last time, the ESPR, Eco-Design for Sustainable Products regulation, was rolled out by the EU on the 18th of July, which is big news. And this is regulation which will have a huge impact on extended eco-design, labeling requirements, digital products passport, circular public procurement, no destruction of unsold goods, and much more. So this is really important, and something we all recommend you all to have a deeper look into, which will affect the market heavily in the EU. Then we had in Norway the political week at Arendalsuka, where me and some of my colleagues was going. You can see Catherine there. Have you joined the meeting, Catherine? Are you here?
Yes, I am here. I'm in the room.
Yeah. Anything you want to share from Arendalsuka this year? Some of the topics that were on the agenda.
The agenda is growing, and the numbers of events were, I would say, around 20 varieties of hardcore, deep core discussions. Of course, the topic of construction and built environment industry was very relevant. See also how the agenda of textile is emerging, listening that textile is the new plastics, and this will be relevant for all the Nordic countries as the new law of waste-free textile value chain enters into market from the 1st of January 2025. So we also listen very well, and we see how to prepare for this Nordic textile agenda also, how every municipality now will be responsible for its own textile waste, for example.
Very good. Then yeah, what I can say also from my side, I was on one very interesting talk. I'm very sorry, I'm a bit sick. Where this chief of staff of the NATO was also joining, pointing out the importance of resilience and how important in the security aspect circular economy and sustainability is at the moment. So it's a growing part also within NATO. The 18th of August, the nature restoration law came into force, which is also very good news. So a lot happening from the EU at the moment, which we are very happy with. Then we have some applications and things out. There are one from Circular Invest, which was shared by Circular Economy. It's about investing in circular economy. You can find more by searching up that. I think I haven't read too much into that point. Nordic Innovation has an open call for circular fast track initiatives. It's 10 million kroners. So if you're a Nordic company, we really recommend you to have a look at that. The deadline for that is the 20th of September. And then there's a Nordic Circular Design Program where they currently are seeking Nordic industrial manufacturing companies. So for more on that, you can go into circulardesignprogram.com. Is there anything you want to add on this, Catherine, before I go further?
Perfect update.
Yeah. Then we have today's topic, which I will leave for my colleague to introduce, and then we will have Laura taking the stage very soon.
I see also Raoul Carlsson in the room. So my name is Catherine Barth, one of the co-founders of Nordic Circular Hotspot. And since 2019, I have also been part of a global collaboration for working out the global ISO standard for circular economy. This was launched this summer. And this is also why we really want to shed light and bring in the Nordic front runners and I would say stars in the emerging standardization. Inviting Laura Linnala from Swedish Institute of Standards and Raoul Carlsson, who have been very actively both in the global, but are also now spearheading a European initiative. I would just say, why was I so tempted to join the standardization as circular economy innovation specialist? And then almost 8 years ago, a guy, he said, well, if you want to change the system, you need to change the standard. And it has been a thrilling journey learning how powerful, innovative tool the standardization is. So welcome, Raoul, welcome, Laura, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I just have to say, first of all, if I'm interrupted, it's because I have a sick 4-year-old at home. So she might be jumping into the meeting every now and then. But the TV is on for her. I'm going to share my slides and then we're going to start babbling on about standardization, which is what we do a lot of. Let me just put on presenter view. Do you see it in presenter view or?
Yes, yeah. Perfect.
Perfect. Well, first of all, thank you for this great opportunity to come here and talk to you guys. The agenda said ISO standards. We are going to focus on European standards, so not the global ones. We can, however, give sort of a short recap of the ISO work. I'm going to have that in a later slide. My name is Laura Linnala. I am a project and committee manager at SIS, the Swedish Institute for Standards. I focus mainly on sustainability areas where circular economy is my biggest one. And I lead our national mayor committee on circular economy, but also now the European work to standardize a circular economy. Apart from that, I also standardize biodiversity and digital product passports as well. But now we're going to stick to only sort of going through what we have on the table right now in terms of European standardization of circular economy and basically what is the relevance for us in the Nordic countries and what are the benefits for us. But over to you, Raoul.
Yeah, as you see, Raoul Carlsson. I also presented myself. We were not really full room before. I am a researcher, a senior researcher at the Research Institute of Sweden. Work very much with standardization, as Laura mentioned. I had my first start working with my master thesis, became a standard in life cycle assessment data format in the 1990s, quite a lot of work. So, and ever since that, I've been working with the TC207 environmental management, and as soon as there are numbers or anything that can deal with data, so that is my domain: sustainability and data and standardization. At RISE, I've been for 4 years in this position where I am certification department, which used to be the old Swedish governmentally owned testing and controlling facility. It's part of it. And there we are developing, we're trying to find out a good way to do research that more quickly take research results or needs to fulfill them into something that can be certified, verified, and thereby upscaled in the way that Katrin said before. Standardizations is such a powerful tool. So as soon as we can go there as quickly as possible, we get the world rolling and going in the same direction. So that's me. And I started working in ISO standardization, of course, immediately as I was there at the kickoff, and then we started working. And the Swedish group divided our different resources into the different work groups where we did the most good, and I was in the 59 of 20 measuring and assessing circularity. And when we started this, the Swedish initiative to start the European standardization, Laura asked me if I wanted to do this, and I said yes, and without any doubt, actually. I just had to anchor it in my organization, and they also said yes. So that's where I am, and still, also participating as an expert in the digital product passport, but just starting up in that world. You can change slide. So what do we do this for? Why European standard? We said that we should talk about the international standards, and of course international, then you solved everything because then it's everybody. But at the same time, everybody do not have the same jurisdiction. Everybody do not have such a federated approach as Europe has, where you actually can combine national law and European law and be very, very strong. That means that we will always have to find ways to harmonize, understand each other, also be compatible with the global world outside Europe when we make import, export, or whatever we do. So we understand, as you said, also with NATO is even interested in this. Circular economy is a key to solve discrepancy between climate crisis and resource intensive lifestyles. And of course, what NATO exists for is a really resource intensive lifestyle, one could say. So that is to the hardest point. And of course, then we have whatever vegetables and stuff on the other end, we could say. So everything is in here. And currently, there are several ongoing standardization activities in product sector specific groups. They have been going on for a while. I was into the furniture group together with Swedish IKEA for a while. I'm still in there, but one have to put resources where one do the most good. But we have a lot of this work going on in Europe. And whenever anyone starts standardizing in a small sector, or small, can even be a large sector, it's still just a sector, one always get the incompatibilities to another sector. We know that cars are made of textiles, steel, plastics, rubber, oil, lots of different things. And if they have different standards for circular economy, it's really difficult to make a circular car. And that is the same, of course, for pair of jeans. I mean, anything you have is actually usually coming from very many different sectors. Even if you go into carrots and vegetables, they have their resources coming from chemical industry or whatever. So there's a lot of things going on to harmonize everything. So we need common understanding to optimize work and to avoid fragmentation. Fragmentation is the cost. That is where we get all the transaction cost, all the even meeting in juridical situations if we do the wrong things. So to really take that away, we need to move stop fragmentation and move to circularity. So, and also this, I also said that important to understand more transversal standardization. So what do we need to make bridging between all the different needs? That is what we really want to search for. If we want to hear ideas coming into the standardization group, what we can do to really identify these gaps that makes it impossible. So we were established in December, I think it was December. Anyway, yeah, somewhere there, November, December 2023. And we have been formulating a number of work groups, and we are now starting the actual work kind of now. We have some votes going on out there. So Laura.
Thank you. Yes, so this is basically the structure of the European group that we have installed right now. Where at the top you see is sort of the parent group, which is called TC 473. TC stands for Technical Committee, and the numbering is random. Below our sort of overarching group, we have a Chairs Advisory Group consisting of leaders of working groups that are sort of tasked with helping us to sort of plan the way ahead and structure the work and maybe help us in prioritizing what to do and when and so on. But we see at the bottom in the 4 boxes, that's where sort of the magic happens. Those are working groups, and they have these 4 different areas. So first of all, we have a sort of EU-specific terminology frameworks and principles, which is to an extent mirroring the global work going on within ISO TC 323. Working group 2 focuses on information sharing, and you can summarize that as sort of what information is supposed to be shared in a circular economy, by whom and how, and to whom. And that can relate to, for instance, a digital product passport. So this is not going to sort of decide in any way what is to be within a DPP in the future, because that we all know is going to be set out in delegated acts for all of the different product groups. But it will, however, focus on more on the aspects of how to share different types of information from an organization that has many different types of customers. So it could be B2B and B2C, for instance, within one in the same organization. And how do you collect this information and make it available to the right customer in the right way? Working group 3 focuses on extended producer responsibility. This is also a Swedish-led group. It was an initiative from here because we do see that there is a big need of trying to harmonize a way of seeing like what's the lowest level of like what's kind of the smallest common denominator of an EPR system, no matter what type of product. Because a lot of organizations that have business all over Europe and all over the world, they spend enormous amounts of money and time, all types of resources on just trying to figure out sort of what is the EPR system in this country and in that country. And we do have a lot of different EPR systems and different levels of this only in Europe. For instance, in France, that is set in law and they have a very strict system compared to, I don't know, we have in Sweden, we have a very well-functioning EPR system for packaging. But as Catherine was mentioning in the beginning, how about new types of products that are going to be included? For instance, now textiles. Will there need to be sort of an EPR system installed there, and how to think of that in the future? And the 4th working group is circular business models. That one also at least partly relates to work ongoing in ISO in the global setting of standardization. And I'm going to show in my next slide how they are related. But this is the current scope of what it is that we do in the European standardization setting of circular economy. And as you see, I mean, this is overarching, transversal standardization. It's not to be related to one single type of product or material or sector, because they have their own standardization ongoing since probably a long time. So for instance, textiles, they have a separate type of group working on only circular economy and textile products and the textile value chain, plastics, construction, et cetera, et cetera. they already have something ongoing to figure out their specific challenges that they have in order to reach increased circularity within their product or sector. This group is supposed to sort of raise the level of a common understanding of what it is and how can we do it? How can we make sure that all types of sectors have the same idea of how to define the principles of a circular economy, for instance. So hopefully this could also have somewhat of a coordinating function for all types of products and sectors in Europe. It also, of course, is, I mean, it's relevant to have standardization at the European level to sort of better represent what it is that we have ongoing in the European context. Because at the global level, as Raoul was mentioning, I mean, the global standardization of circular economy consists of 100 countries and several hundred experts. So that's that is very strong documents that we develop within ISO, but it's not necessarily within sort of the same level of ambition that we have for a circular economy in the European context, because we have the EU Commission that has really, really high ambitions for circularity, especially with the von der Leyen Commission, which is now to sort of even further enhance the quicker transition towards circularity. And we do see in Europe that the EU Commission increasingly they want to have standardization. They want us there in all of the areas that they are writing legislation within, but also that they just have sort of policies within. They lean on standardization a lot to develop requirements or guidelines or whatever that it is that we need for the industry to sort of to start their path. So that's also why we need a European standardization within circular economy. We do have, this is quite technical, but we do have collaborations between different areas. So we're not focusing only on what it is that we want to do, but we have established liaisons to other groups that are active in their fields. So for instance, the digital product passport standardization, we are in a liaison with them, meaning that we help each other out and update each other on what we have going on in our different fields. And we have, we go to each other's meetings, we report back to each other, etc. And that goes for digital product passport, it goes for eco-design standardization, it goes for construction standardization, et cetera, et cetera. So that's just to sort of point out that we are trying to reach out with our many tentacles to all different types of fields because we want to collaborate with as many as possible. And this is just to show the different areas that we are active within ISO, the global standardization, and CEN, the European standardization. So you see there in the middle is where we have common interests, where we have ISO standards currently or just recently published. So we have one ISO standard on vocabulary. It's terminology actually and principles and frameworks for circular economy. And we also have a guidance on the transition of business models and value network. So these are two different ISO standards that were recently published and that we are also going to implement probably at the European level, meaning that they will be very strongly enshrined in all of the European countries involved. When we have a European standard in place, that means that all of the 34 countries that are part of the European Standardization Organization, they have to implement them at the national level. So European standards are, we don't have as many countries, of course, involved as the ISO standards or the ISO committees, but our standards at the European level carry a lot more weight to European countries. Standards are always, I mean, they're never mandatory to use, but European standards are mandatory to implement at the national level, meaning that we can't have, for instance, legislation at the national level that goes against anything in European standards. So it is a complex system, and I could talk for half a day about just the connection between the EU Commission, the European standardization and national legislation. But it's just to point out that European standardization is not legislation, it's not mandatory, but we can't have anything that is contradicting or conflicting with the contents of European standards. So you see here also that at the global level, they have also measuring and assessing circular performance. That is also something that we're looking at the European level to implement. And then they also have product circularity data sheet. And I know that they're also working on sustainability and traceability in the use of secondary materials for circular economy. So it's they do have quite a wide focus also at the global level. And then you see in the other bubble at the European level, where we have our EPR standardization, for instance, that we try to sort of narrow down more and see where it is that we can find common interests at the European level. Because, for instance, an EPR system would be very difficult to try to standardize at a global level, because we have so different ways of doing this between the different regions. But within our region, we think that we can have at least some common interests in this. Yes, next one is yours, Raoul.
Yeah, and this is yet a way. It's actually a jet fighter. Just started swirling around here. I'll just close the window. Let me do that, but it sounds a lot here in my room. I know the noise canceller fixes that. Anyway, so what we have this business model for the Scienticity business. Yeah, I can hear it from the other end, but I think that you don't hear it. We have this business plan for the technical committee, and it's a text describing what we're doing and explaining both for us, kind of like a policy or an idea document for us who are in the TC, but it's also for one who to wonder what are they doing. So we're really trying to explain it in a way. Why do we exist? What are we going to work with, and what is coming up, and what is to our attention? And then this is one of the core pictures in that business plan. It's about understanding what Laura just said, but saying it in a pictogram. We have the International Circular Economy Quality Infrastructure. Quality infrastructure is a term that we use quite a lot when it comes to conformity assessment, when it comes to setting the standards to understand things equally and to use them in law, etc. So we have this International Circular Economy Quality Structure, where we see the 59,000 standards are really the thing. They are the fundament of that. So when we have done that, now we know how to talk about circular economy. We know what we mean with it. And that is there. But inside this one, now we have the European context. And the European context will always be open to the international context, because we have trade, we have whatever, or everything, all the corporations we have. So we are not free to not act according to the surrounding. But that is where we start working with our CE standards, that we have to listen to what is going on. And in the first case now, we are trying to make the ISO standards adopted at this European level, if that is possible. That is always that should be voluntary. Therefore, we have to make that as a voted process, and that is going on. And if it's not, then we have that as a condition. So whatever condition that has to be on a global relationship between EU and our standardization, international standardization and European standardization, we have to be open to that. That is our playing ground, so to say. And in here, the gray domain, that is where we are working. So of course we're working to, you see to the left, the related standards, sector standards, digital product passport, other standards related to the field of circular economy. We cannot control them, but we can acknowledge them to our best because we exist because they need to be coordinated. And in the future, when we write standards, when others in the sectors write standards, they can take from the library that is already compatible, the harmonized language, the harmonized way to look at things, describe things. They can start standardizing with the help of that. So in that sense, the SEN standards will eventually, after a few rounds, become more and more of the norm sector for how to make sector standards. But to begin with, it's the other way around. We have to elbow around here in this world and negotiate everything and there, of course. And when we now write the standards, we will try to provide a structure. As you see, the word structure is there, the arrow to going into the practice of circular economy. We are really coming into the practical aspects. In the global scale, we are a bit far from the real practice. We know how to measure and assess circularity from the 59/20 standard. We know something about how a business or organization can design the business models. But in Europe, we actually have businesses that will be affected directly by the language that we produce in our standards. Eventually, they will have to understand the language, apply to laws, apply to, for example, the EU taxonomy of these things. We have to have the same language. We will not spend so much time in court. We will not spend so much time on interpretation of what we are really doing. We will have a much more compatible system. So that is the structure that we try to provide. And at the same time, when we are in that world, the practicability of these standards will have to be tested. So if we have the right experts in there, the standards will be practical to begin with. If we happen to have theoretical experts or idealistic experts with less touch on the ground, there is a risk that they will have to make one more round out there being tested, etc. But that is okay. That is how standards development works. So the whole idea is to make a structure that really makes practice of circular economy work. And then we can become more practical, both on the standards development, but also legislation can be more practical, quality assurance and market control can be more practical, and of course laws and government that also makes us as citizens and the consumers more able to choose the right way to work, to act and consume. So that is what we expect. And everything here is dynamic. So the arrows are constant from the international world into Europe is always setting our condition. And then the other end, we develop new standards. We have the Brussels effect. Oops, they decided on this now. Then everybody have to do something to satisfy the language and the requirements of Brussels. As long as we go spearheading as we do right now for some years, both in the back in the future and in the future. So this is how it should be understood. It's a way to look at how dynamic we think of the standardization process, dynamic and dependent on a lot of complexity issues.
Yes, and so just to summarize now at the end, what are the benefits to us in the Nordic countries now that we have this European standardization in place, and now that we have it led by Sweden? Well, first of all, we have a very strong influence by the Nordic countries in both the European setting and also within the ISO standardization. Historically, we are quite good at standardization here in the Nordics, even though we have quite small countries and small standardization organizations. We are trusted out there. In the development of the ISO standards for circular economy, we did have very strong voices from a few of the Nordic countries. So we had a really strong influence on the outcomes of those standards, quite uniquely strong, actually. The ISO standardization is unique in the sense that it's built on one country, one vote. So our relatively small countries have a quite a big impact actually on the outcomes in ISO. But not only that, we were all quite active in the meetings, in the developments of those drafts, and we had a lot of expertise involved. And that is sort of what we wanted to further highlight at the European level, and to make sure that it is a Nordic perspective that actually comes across in the standardization at the European level. And the Nordic collaboration in standardization is strong. Historically, we've always had really good relations between our Nordic neighbors here in our standardization organizations. And this is actually brought further in the area of circular economy, where I have installed sort of an informal collaboration with the Nordic representatives. And we have, I think it's quarterly meetings where we sort of share perspectives and needs and news and ideas and thoughts about what is needed out there in terms of standardization. We have a lot of experience and knowledge to bring to the table when it comes to circular economy. We do have a lot of, many years of research, but also businesses that are really spearheading the transition towards circularity, that are in many cases they are based in Nordic countries, and this is something we need to make sure that we bring to the table. This is the type of experience that is built into standards. So standards isn't only sort of formal, boring documents. They are built on the latest know-how. They have to be built on the latest research published, and also a wide set of experiences. So that's really important that we make sure that we from the Nordic countries bring to the table what it is that we have, because we have really strong experiences here. And I mean, by leading the European standardization from Sweden, it's that we sort of set the table for us. So use that as an opportunity to, sorry about that, use that as an opportunity to sort of bring forward any ideas that you may have, because we most likely will have a strong collaboration in presenting these ideas. And yes, I mean, we are well equipped to transition to increased circular economy in the Nordic countries. We, apart from the knowledge and experience and research that we generally tend to have up here in the Nordics, in many cases we also have political strategies and policies to work towards increased circularity, and standardization is a really effective tool to actually speed up the process and do this in a collaborative and concerted way. So we do have a lot to benefit from this at the Nordic level, and let's just make sure that we continue to collaborate here between our countries, and just make use of this opportunity, having a really strong position from Nordic representation here, and make sure that we present what it is that we have and our interests and our ideas. Have your say in these groups, because it's always really it's really positive to have new ideas in this, and it's generally seen in a very positive light. So it's open for anyone to join these working groups within the European standardization. If you're interested, you can either just get in touch with me and Raul, or better yet is to contact your own standardization organizations, and they can tell you more about how to get involved through your countries and through your standardization organizations, and sort of to get an idea of what is what's in the pipeline within your specific countries. But I think this is all that we have. And if you have any questions, we're happy to try to give some kind of answers. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, both Raul and Laura. I'm so sorry for not introducing you also, Raul.
No, always. I mean, I never know who is talking, but Laura and I sometimes manage to do this, so it's okay.
I'll leave the word to Catherine here to sum up and take some questions.
Yes, I would love to. If there are any questions in the room, I will. Meanwhile, also thank you so much, Laura and Raul, because you're really emphasizing and pinpointing the opportunity window for all experts who are engaged and are some kind of the front runners. They do belong within your working system, I would say your development system, and it has been quite an experience to have this crossover meeting and listen the openness and the wish for consensus that has been some kind of is influencing the processes. I'm very happy that you followed up with the like, what is the Nordic benefits, the Nordic opportunity window, and as you say, influencing the system with one country, one vote. I don't know how this is in Europe, but how would you hope to see, what would you like to see from the Nordic industries or companies emerge from the CEN process that you're leading?
Well, first of all, the voting system in the European standardization is differing from the ISO system. In the European setting, we have weighted voting, which means that our countries doesn't really have as strong of a voice as one would hope, but we do have very strong collaborative skills, and as I also mentioned, we have a really strong voice in terms of standardization, because in general, our neighboring countries or the European countries, they trust the Nordic countries when it comes to standardization. We are known for our professional approaches in standardization and our strong collaborative skills. So all standardization, as you said briefly, Catherine, standardization always builds on consensus and collaboration. And this is really a strong forte for us in the Nordics. So no matter that our sort of the weighted voting means that we have less of a say, we still have a really strong say. But that's also why I installed sort of the informal collaboration between myself and my colleagues in the other Nordic countries that are involved, because I think that as much as we can, we should share our ideas and our interests so that we can take those ideas home to our national mirror committees and say, okay, this is what is happening in Denmark, in Norway, in Finland, in Iceland, for instance. And this is what they are focusing on. Is there anything that we can do to strengthen them? And what is our perspective on this? One example currently is actually a Norwegian proposal for establishing a management system standard for the circular economy. This is a proposal that before they presented this at the global level, we discussed this in our informal Nordic group, just to make sure that, okay, it's kind of like taking the temperature. So what's your reaction to this? And is there anything that we need to do to sort of to help you to support us in this idea? Then it's always a good it's a good way to move ahead. So yeah, I mean, that's what we are trying to do to sort of strengthen the Nordic standardization. Then I mean, also we have a Nordic standardization, like a council for only the Nordic countries. So we are, I mean, we are really in strong collaboration here.
It's lovely listening you out, and I'm very sure we will meet you soon and meet again, as we are also doing our countdown for the Nordic Circular Summit, where we're pretty sure that this will be one of the topics, and we'd also love to have input from you, what you think we should emphasize when we set the agenda for the Nordic Circular Summit this year. So thank you both, Laura and Raoul. Speak soon.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Thank you so much, both of you. Really, really uplifting and very interesting to listen to, and also very, very happy to hear about the Nordic presence in this work as well. I had to just double check that we also had our organizations there, as we in Norway not always are part of the European work. So I'm happy to see that we're part of it. Yes, we have a few minutes left now. So I just I'll ask quickly if there's anything those of you that are here today wants to share quickly. Is there anything happening in your country or anything exciting coming up that you want to share briefly? You'll have the word now. If not, I will move forward. Our upcoming meetings will be 2nd of October and 30th of October. As always, if you have any topics, anything you want us to deep dive into in some ways, please let us know, and we will consider that. And then, as mentioned in the start of the meeting today, we are working fully now with the Nordic Circular Summit this year in Helsinki, 18th and 19th of November. So please save the date. It's a really good place to come and meet and engage and to get new knowledge about circular economy. We have sent out information about how you can make your partner sessions. As always, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. And also, if you have any ideas about really good speakers you want to see on the program, or topics that you want to see in any way, please send us an email and we will also take that into consideration. Yes, so if there is nothing more to say, Gitte? Yeah. Hi.
Am I allowed to make a small promotion?
Yes.
Yes. As some of you know, and as you have been so kind to share, this summer, I had 2 books coming out. So I just want to promote those. One is on the great transition to a green and circular economy, and is very much on the transition. And the other one is Rethink Economics and Business Models for Sustainability, that also touches very much upon circular economy, but especially on the leadership tasks that we need to meet in the future. And many of you has contributed to a case collection that has been delayed due to these 2 books, but I will hand in the manuscript for the Nordic case collection this weekend. So it is still on track, and I hope it to come out. And I very much thank you all for participating and sharing and reaching out. And I can share links to the books, and all the people who are engaged in the universities have free access to my books, because it's the Springer Verlag who is the publisher. So they get, the universities get free access to the books. Thank you very much.
Nice. Amazing. And if you have any more information to send us that we can have a look at and maybe share, please do. Then we will try to help in the best way. And congrats with your work.
Thank you.
Really good. Then we have just only a few minutes left, so I would just like to, if there's any last words, you're open to say it now. If not, we'll thank everybody for coming today. It's been really interesting this time as well, and I hope and I hope you all find our topics relevant. The circular economy is wide and covers many different topics, and that's why we also try to cover the different aspects of it. So have a good Nordic day, enjoy the sun, enjoy the jet flight sounds coming in and everything, and we'll see you guys in the 3rd of October.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.